Welcome back, guys, to the F1 2019 career mode, and you join me for race number 2 of season 1, and it's the Bahrain Grand Prix. I'm a little bit behind everyone else on the old YouTube regarding this game, but regardless, we're going to be trying to have some fun with this career mode. We've got our first upgrades coming to the car thanks to the contract we signed with Toro Rosso, so we've already got a minor engine power upgrade and a minor weight reduction, and then just a general maintenance to try and keep check on the car, try and get those components to last a little bit longer, because I've seen this game can be a little bit unforgiving when it comes to those wear rates. But looking at the weather, it's Bahrain, so naturally you'd expect it to be pretty damn dry, and it does look pretty damn dry. If you do see some slight quality differences for this and obviously the next few parts as well, these were recorded on like a 5-year-old original Xbox One, whereas the first couple of parts were recorded on a One X. So just throwing that out there. So looking at it, we're the only team that's made some kind of slight upgrade, you know, and I wouldn't expect everyone to be making upgrades going into the second round of the season, but nonetheless, it's nice to squeak ever so closer to McLaren and, of course, taking on Devon Butler. But now it's time for us to get into qualifying.
Bahrain qualifying is nearly upon us, and the drivers look as if they're all geared up to go. I expect we'll be getting underway very shortly.
So, universally known, Bahrain is not a good track for me, and I've been very, very slow, but nonetheless, here we go. We're going to be giving it maximum effort and maximum attack, and even on that 5-year-old Xbox One I was talking about, the lighting surely looks pretty damn good. Not as good as it probably does on a One X, or then indeed a PC, but there we go. Turn 1 has been dispatched already. Now we're just accelerating up the hill, up towards turn 4, DRS wide open, now dropping it down because ERS burns very quickly in this year's game, braking just after the 100 meter board, try and kiss the apex and then bring the car in for a better exit. We haven't quite done so, and we're matching our delta through the first sector, and that is 6/10 down on provisional pole position of Lewis Hamilton. But then down the hill, just keep the car in check, move it to the left hand side, then try and rotate the car the best you can for the right hander at the bottom. And now our delta really looking to come up, as now we have one of the hardest corners on the entire calendar, and you just got to take it slow really to not try and lose time through 9 and 10. Now we're back on the power through the third DRS zone of the lap, just under 2.5 tenths up before we go through the fast left-hander. Turned in a little too early, that's cost me a bit of time, but I didn't run as wide on apex as I did versus my first lap, so 3/10 improvement through flat the right-hander, crossing the split at the second sector, only 9 tenths down on Hamilton, but it's P18 at the moment. We do have my teammate Alex Albon in 17th, and now it's over a 6/10 improvement, and we've made a huge gains through those last couple of corners, down to the final corner on circuit, bringing the car down, taking a lot of curb, and that's hampered me on exit. Delta still sitting at around half-second improvement. As DRS open, we charge towards the line. Where is that going to put us? In the Toro Rosso, it's only P14, and I suppose that's much more realistic than what we got in Australia. It's time for the race.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain. There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1 of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. Bahrain has showed us many times in the past though, Anthony Davidson, that a good strategy will only take you so far. Beyond that, you need good racecraft and you need good consistency.
And a little bit of luck too, I'd say. This is one of those circuits where the safety car always seems to come out just at the right time to condense the field together and mix up the cars on different strategies. It's hard on brakes, it's tough on fuel, and the main overtaking opportunity is down into turn 1, where it's easy to outbrake your opponent and potentially have a bit of argy-bargy as well.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. Moving on to the rest of the grid, We have Leclerc, Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. And Gasly, Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Perez, and Devon Butler, Grosjean, Weber, Kevin Magnussen, the captain, Albon, Raikkonen, Lando Norris, and Lance Stroll, Kubica, and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So there we have the lineup, and there it's looking like a simple one-stop strategy. Mediums onto hard compound tyres for this particular race. I was sort of trying to play around, see if I was able to come in early or undercut anyone, but the concern there is our hard tyres being absolutely dead at the end of the race. Let's load up on a bit of fuel so we can utilise some rich mixture and get ourselves some good speed in a straight line. We are, of course, running the Honda engine, but you never know what we can do into turn one if we get brave on the brakes as we build with the lights. 5 are on for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Lights are out and we are indeed underway. And it's been a catastrophic start. I figured out what the issue with those is, and you should see improvements later in the season. Anyway, Raikkonen down my inside. Weber and Raikkonen, both Alphas, doing a dive bomb of dreams into turn one. We're going to try and follow Raikkonen, and we are argy-bargy with a McLaren. In fact, it's argy-bargy through the whole way. We split through Raikkonen and a Haas as we now slipstream Romain Grosjean with Devon Butler on my right-hand side down towards turn 4. We're going to brake late, but Grosjean cuts across in front of us, and that's allowed Butler to get up my inside on corner exit. He is on the soft tyre. He's going to have more traction at this stage of the Grand Prix, but we're going to sweep round the outside just about through the right-left section. And now we head down. Now Grosjean leaves the door open. Thank you very much, Romain. We are going to go right down the inside. I'm sure he's on team radio complaining to Gunther Steiner about how unfair that move was. But we have moved up into 11th place, just on the fringes of the final points paying position, which is being held by the racing point of Sergio Perez. But you see Vettel leading the way, then Hamilton, then Leclerc, and Vettel setting the pace at the end of lap 2, a 33.7. Perez on the soft tyre ahead of us getting away, but we only expect that tyre to last 5 or 6 laps, whereas we're in the 36s, and we are moving across because we have Grosjean in our slipstream, and we're going to have a bit of a train probably start forming behind us. There are some guys, like Devon Butler behind me, on the soft compound tyre. They are going to be faster at this stage of the Grand Prix, and you can see DRS is open this lap, so Grosjean is really going to try and make a move now in this new DRS zone up towards turn 4, but he's committed to the outside line, and that's just not going to work for him to try and get past me. But now we move on. End of lap 4, Grosjean has fallen back, and it's Devon Butler that now takes up P12. Daniel Ricciardo has dropped to P10. We're matching sort of our best time of the race so far. I mean, the guys ahead of us aren't really getting too far ahead, which is really good to see. I'd expect them to have disappeared maybe, you know, 8 to 10 seconds down the road, but they're not getting too far ahead of us. We come across the line at the end of lap 5. It's a personal best, and Ricciardo's only 3.8 seconds up the road, and Butler is 3 seconds behind me. So we're running in some nice fresh air at the moment, not really being distracted by anyone, not really having to worry about anyone else. We can just run our own race, but you can see we're already down to about 25% on the ERS. So I need to keep tabs on that, as now we get our first sort of pit stops of the race. It's Nico Hülkenberg in at the end of lap 6. So like I said, these tyres really not lasting that long, and we're going to expect more cars in the pits very soon. And seeing as the guys ahead have bunched up, we're going to be gaining a lot of positions as Ricciardo is in. There's a Red Bull in, a Verstappen. There's Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. So we've overtaken the net race leader, who of course has another stop to make. I'm not suggesting that we're going to be racing Vettel in any capacity, but you can see there the field really hadn't got that far ahead, and I've had really nice consistent pace over the course of this Grand Prix. We have a yellow flag and a slow-moving car. It's one Pierre Gasly, and he looks like he's had a Honda engine failure and he's pulling up out of the Bahrain Grand Prix on lap 8. But we're now in 5th position, and we are chasing down Lucas Weber, who appears to be locked in combat with Sergio Perez, and they've been able to get this soft tyre to last quite a while. It's currently lap 8, and they're going on even longer, so they could be really trying to push this soft tyre. But we've got Bottas and Leclerc in at the end of lap 8, and they're going to the set of medium tyres. We're up into a podium position of 3rd place as Weber and the racing point of Perez went side by side, but Perez finally comes in end of lap 9. We set a personal best, and we are 2.3 seconds behind Lucas Weber, but now Vettel is up into P3. He's finally dispatched some of the traffic, and he's going to be storming up behind me like a red-faced baron And we're, realistically speaking, it's not going to take too much for Vettel to get past me. So here we go through turns 9 and 10 on exit. Vettel's got fresher tyres and the faster car. He's going to have a bit of DRS to help him as well. So, and you can see that the cars behind Vettel, your Hamiltons and your Leclercs, are stuck behind K-Mag, who's in fourth as we let Vettel through there. Just sort of made a small mistake and Vettel capitalised on it. So Vettel is extending his gap hugely at the front of the field, and I expect him probably to run away now with this Bahrain Grand Prix. But we're now going to try and stick behind Vettel, see if he can try and pull us a little bit closer to Lucas Weber. But unfortunately, you know, the car's really not up to snuff in terms of performance. We are quite far down in the pecking order. We're only running as high as this due to our strategy. And Weber finally pits, carrying those soft tyres to the end of lap 10. We now go on for a couple more laps as we are due to come in at the end of lap 12. And Charles Leclerc, unfortunately, as Jeff confirmed, Charles Leclerc out of the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it would appear that video games enact real life, of course, where he had mechanical failure. But lap 12 are coming in very cautious into the pit lane, very easy to speed. Stroll goes on up into P2. There's Bottas and Hamilton going through both Haas cars. And there's Alex Albon, my teammate, who we'd pulled a huge gap over. But we're going to make a pit stop now onto the hard tyres. And we had issues coming out the pit box. Not too sure what happened there. But there goes Perez through. So he's clearly going to the end of the Grand Prix on the hard tyres. 2.4 stop. And we come out behind Lucas Weber, who is also on the hard tyre. So it looks like we're racing Weber and Perez to the end. And Devon Butler is behind me, having already made one pit stop. And is on medium, so he's going to have to pit again. So McLaren have definitely got it wrong with our friend Devon Butler. And we are cruising up to the back of Lucas Weber. That Alpha apparently not switching on these hard tyres very well. And once again, in another race, all three of us GP2 or Formula 2 rivals are on the same bit of tarmac as we are slipstreaming Weber, who gets up to 10th. And we're going to make a dive bomb into turn 1 for the final points-paying position. Can we get it slowed down? Weber tries to cut back underneath me, but we get the traction, and we've put him into the path of Devon Butler. And due to us being the car behind at the detection point, we're also going to get DRS up towards turn 4, so that should help us solidify the position as we turn in. There we go, up into P10, and showing that once again we are still the superior of the Formula 2 rivals, and we've now accelerated away from Butler and from Weber, and we've had Albon and Magnussen pit. We're up into 8th, personal best lap of the race of a 36.0. I'm hoping to break into that 35 barrier. That would be lovely. But up into P8, looking positive. We have still got just under half the race to go, and I have got Devon Butler all over my gearbox in the slightly faster car, and of course on softer tyres, but those mediums must probably be wearing out as he dives down the inside of us with DRS enabled. And he's going to try and get through. We try and go around the outside, but Butler shuts the door. Fortunately, though, this is near the end of the lap, so if we can try and stick with him, as he makes a small mistake there into the right-hander, if we can try and stick with him, we should be able to follow him down the main straight, as we're just going to position our car now into his slipstream. Try and save a little bit of fuel and a little bit of ERS, just in standard and medium. Don't need to push it too hard right now. And as we come out the final corner, we're going to up all the settings, as it were. Here we go, rich, high. And we're going to have DRS, like I said. So Butler has got a good exit, though, out of the final corner. Let's hoping we can pull up behind him, as we've got another car coming out of the pits. That must be Verstappen. And it's now going to be P7 for Butler into turn 1. There we go. Pulled to the inside, brake nice and late, as Devon Butler would do to us. He tries to cut underneath, but once again, similar to when Weber tried it, just didn't have the traction. And we're going to have DRS once again up the hill. Butler is in our slipstream, but he doesn't quite have the grunt to be able to make the move. So we've taken 7th position. Lewis Hamilton just ahead of us, but he's of course come out on fresh tyres, so I don't think we're going to be challenging the Mercedes. But same lap, we've made just gone slightly wide, not really too much of a mistake into turn 10, and Butler once again all over us in the DRS zone up towards this fast left-hander, and we're going to see what we can do. Can we try and reclaim the move? We put up a bit more of a fight, and Butler this time, slightly more aggressive, barges us off the circuit there, and once again, we're stuck behind him over the end of the lap. So we're just going to have to do the same move once again, just keep up behind him and make a move again into turn 1 is the plan. But Lucas Weber appears to have picked up a bit more speed, and he now is only about a second behind us, so we could have the clash of the 3 Formula 2 rivals once again as Butler goes defensive into the final corner. That's going to compromise his line. He still, however, gets a much better exit than I do. Just apparently traction out the final corner is not my strength on this circuit, but engine turned up, DRS open, and Hulkenberg pits. We're now battling Butler for 6th as we go through to turn 1, and this overtake was even easier. We had him way before the corner. I was carrying a bit of speed. I have to brake myself a little bit, but thankfully we successfully make the move once again. And yeah, Hulkenberg, because of Hulkenberg hitting, we're now up into 6th place. However, there is a train of cars coming after us, and we're going to need to try and defend this position, because this is very lofty heights for a Toro Rosso. You know, we had to fight to get that final point in Australia, as we're going to try and get a bit of an update here.
We're leading our teammate by 12.8 seconds. They're on fresh hards. They're in 15th. The time last lap was a 1:37.5.0 seconds.
So I just wanted to compare myself there to Alex Albon. You can see that Butler has come into the pits, and we're now up into 5th place, and we have Lucas Weber now challenging us for P5. We have got into the 135 barrier, as Weber, very, very cheeky, sends it down the inside. We tried to squeeze him to the corner of the circuit, and he was having none of it, so he tried to make the move, but we were just able to carry the speed around the outside. So while we are up into 5th on hard tyres, we are being caught as we scrap away by one Max Verstappen, who's made his 2nd pit stop. So we're going to pull to the right-hand side to try and break the slipstream. Butler's going to follow him, and then Verstappen's going to follow the pair of us as he is on the outside versus me. Weber makes it up into 5th, but he's gone deep into turn 1. I've also gone a little bit deep into turn 1. On traction, we've kept the position, and Verstappen, of all of his aggressive moves, wasn't able to make any positions there. As we now head up towards turn 4, can Verstappen try and make any moves on Lucas Weber? Weber has tried to go to the inside. Can Verstappen hold it around the outside in the better car on the softer tyres? Indeed, he can, and that now moves him up behind me in the Toro Rosso. And I am sure Christian Horner is probably getting on the radio now to say, right, move your guy out of the way, come on, let Max through. And while I've got to prove myself, it would probably be the sportsman thing to let Max through. Meanwhile, we've got Bottas just ahead of me, Hamilton ahead of him. Perez is still up in 2nd place as far as I know. There is a pink dot just up the road, but now Max up behind us. He's going to have DRS, have the superior speed, and we're just going to let him through. We're not going to challenge him into the left-hander. Similar to Vettel earlier on, just sort of let him go, not really waste too much of our time, because our fight is for 6th place with Lucas Weber. And we're currently on a personal best lap of the race here. I think I might have just sacrificed it through the final corner with the amount of curb that I've taken. As we now move on to lap 22, we do cross the line, and it is a personal best. So we're still pushing hard. Unfortunately, Weber has slingshotted past us into turn 1. We're going to have to make an absolute dive bomb to retain the position. Do what Weber did on the first. A bit of argy-bargy, wheel-banging, cheeky monkey as Weber tried to turn in, but unfortunately, my Toro Rosso was already there. And we've been able to retain the position for P6. This is looking very akin to the 2018 drive of one Pierre Gasly, where he brought it home in, I think it was 4th or 5th, in a Toro Rosso in Bahrain, you know. And it looks as if that contact with Weber cost him some speed, because he's really dropped off the pace. And now Lance Stroll moves up into 7th position. He's like 2 or so seconds behind me there. So, yeah, it looks as if that contact abruptly ended that scrap, and it put Weber outside the points. And Sebastian Vettel has won the race, as I believed he would. I don't know where Perez has finished. The 2 Mercedes ahead of me and Verstappen. But of course, we've come home P6 after Gasly retired. That is a fantastic result. We're currently on for another personal best lap of the race, and we eventually set a 34.9 there. So found some speed. Clearly decided not to show that in the final edit. My mistake. Anyway, we're going to come across the line, and it's P6. Fantastic result.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
Come on, winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
So there we have it. Sebastian Vettel wins the Bahrain Grand Prix by 20-odd seconds from Valtteri Bottas, who did pass his teammate on track, Lewis Hamilton there. So Bottas 2.0 certainly coming out to play. Sergio Perez, unfortunately, did lose out to both Mercedes in the end, but still a very solid result for Racing Point there in P4. Max Verstappen came home P5, just didn't quite have the pace of the top guys to make that 2-stop strategy work, but he was very quick in the end. And we showed some pace there, getting into the 34s in the end for P6 from 14th on the grid. And Lance Stroll as well, 18th to 7th. A brilliant drive from the pay driver, as it were. Daniel Ricciardo getting points for Renault in 8th. Magnussen 9th. And Hulkenberg rounding out the points. The 2-stop just not working for Renault. If they had been able to pull off a 1-stop. Weber eventually, as I said, they finished 11th. Norris 12th, Albon 13th, and then Butler with his 2-stop down in 16th place. He's ridiculous, but he did start inside the top 10, so he probably didn't really have a choice with Leclerc and Gasly, your non-finishers. Over the driver standings now, Vettel leads the way, 44 points to Hamilton's 41. We, meanwhile, are in 7th position with 9 points, only 6 off one Charles Leclerc, and Perez up in 5th with 2 excellent results for racing points. So he is really flying the flag at the moment, showing that maybe some people would want to consider him for a top drive before his career is over. Over the constructor side, Mercedes leading the way with 69 points, and Ferrari on 59. Racing Point there, as again, look, 28 points, 20 of which are Sergio Perez in 3rd, Red Bull 4th, we're in 5th with 9. Let's have a quick chat with Claire about our race.
Work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Very astute of you. And the car just worked around Bahrain. Don't know what it is about Toro Rossos in Bahrain, but it felt good.
You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret?
Just send it. Just follow the Daniel Ricciardo school of just sending it.
Great. Well, that's everything.
So, back at the factory. And having a look, we've got 1,000 resource points to spend. I've already spent some points, and we're looking to get a aero upgrade, a front and a rear downforce minor upgrade on the car. Hopefully they should come in for the Chinese Grand Prix, and I've got just enough points to get ourselves a major engine power upgrade for the spark plugs, and that will jump us up ahead of Red Bull, Renault and McLaren, and it will put us just behind Alpha, Rich Energy, Haas Formula 1 team. That's a joke in and of itself. And Ferrari. So that upgrade, unfortunately, that engine power upgrade isn't going to come into effect until the Spanish Grand Prix. But with both of those upgrades, when they're on the car, we should be better than McLaren. Now, bearing in mind, of course, McLaren hopefully will have some upgrades themselves, as the AI this year's game do like to upgrade. I don't know if that's been put in by design by Cody's, or if they're going to like fix that in a patch. I don't know, but either way, it should be really good. I'm hoping to try and crank, even though I've been late starting this, I do want to crank out multiple seasons. Try and do more than the 3 I've done over the last couple of games, because of course we've got those driver transfers, as it were. But guys, that's been the Bahrain Grand Prix. I hope you have enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, and comment any feedback down below. Next time out, we go to China, and that's been known to be a decent track for me. Did really well in the Williams in my starting season last year, so I guess we'll see what we can do next time out there. Of course, we should hopefully have a bit of a aero upgrade, so that should help us through some of the corners there. If you do want to be kept up to date with what comes to the channel, then please subscribe and enable them notifications to be kept up to date with everything that I do, even though this past month it really hasn't been a lot. Anyway, that's just me monologuing. I will see you all next time.